gentlemen, welcome back to HMP. Boy, do I hope you like Italian Star Wars ripoffs, because today we're talking Star Odyssey from 1979. I'm your host, Adam Portress, and joining me today, they call him the fighting hero of the galaxy, sweet Sean Zakovacs from the internet.
If they do, they're lying.
Oh, come on. You're the biggest galaxy saver out there. And, of course, Bruce Leslie is out celebrating his youngest birthday this week. So, if there's a chance for cake and a possible animatronic band, you know that Bruce is going to be there. So we hope that he's having a good time out there. But, folks, we are talking Star Odyssey today because our folks over at patreon.com/HMP, those people get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone, and they get to vote on what we watch for this month. And this month, they have chose Sweet Shawnzy Loves Spaceships right to the top of the key.
So two things right from the top. One is that and this is my own fault. This is no one else's fault but mine. Is that as you know, because I've said it in the past on the show, that this comes from my dad. Because my dad would say to my sisters, "Oh, I bet you Sean's going to see that. Sean loves spaceships." I just spoke to him today about this, and he was like, "No, it's not Sean loves spaceships. It's Sean likes spaceships."
Oh,
I don't know why that makes a difference, but
you weren't as passionate about it as you think, son.
Oh, Sean's going to see that one. Sean likes spaceships. Like every time, and the fact that he said it so fast tells me that is actually true. That Sean likes spaceships, and so that's and it's completely my fault because I've messed with that myself. To be pure, to keep the whole thing pure, Sean likes spaceships.
Sean likes spaceships.
Yes, Sean likes spaceships. The other thing,
you think your father would use that kind of flowery language around the house? I don't think so. Brian
definitely would not.
I love you, son. Nah.
I have never heard those words.
Oh my God.
And I'm not even kidding. So the next part to this is, do you think that I could get like a music stinger for this, since it's all month long?
Yeah, we can come up with something.
That'd be awesome. It doesn't even have to be something fancy. It could be something really quick, like a bumper, like bow, 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 Sean likes spaceships.
Got it. Done and done. We can produce that up. Piece of cake. So Star Odyssey is the first one off the docket here, 1979. After Star Wars, the entire world was just like, we got to get some of that Star Wars money. This space stuff's really catching on here in the late 70s. And after Star Wars, everybody was like, bro, we got to get a piece of this. And of course, the Italians, no strangers to ripping things off, were like, oh, we've got a little something called Star Odyssey here that we can hook you guys up with. So how did this selection come about?
Well, I last minute was running around because I did not take it for granted that the good folks of HMP would correctly vote for Sean likes spaceships. And they did. And so I had to go to my list, and over the course of like the last 2 years, if I come across something where I'm like, never heard anyone talk about that movie before, I'll write it down. And one of those movies was Star Odyssey. And I did not have a star next to it, which is my own way of knowing this is going to be a great one. So this did not have that star.
There was no star involved, you say?
Right. And so for those of you who might have listened to our Message from Space episode, which might be the greatest find of all time of space movies that no one's ever spoken about, that one is one of one. And I knew we weren't going to outdo that movie.
Pretty tough.
So that was not the goal here. So I wanted to do something that is in that tradition of what I grew up with, which is that 77 Star Wars comes out. And for the next 10 years, everything is a knockoff of Star Wars, everything. And the Italian movies, Italians started with the knockoffs of the Westerns, and then they went to Jaws.
Yep.
There's a million Italian Jaws knockoffs, and then they moved to Star Wars. And so this is a real good representation of what knockoff Italian Star Wars looks like, Star Odyssey. And by that, I mean, this is a difficult movie. So we're going to have a lot of fun talking about it today, but us talking about it is probably more fun than watching the movie itself.
Yeah, I would venture to say that's probably going to be a safe bet for everybody here. So just before we get into it, remember patreon.com/HMP. We'll talk about what we're going to start the voting again for next month for October. We got a lot of Halloween stuff. We'll talk about that towards the end of the show here. But let's get into it. Here's the IMDb plot line for Star Odyssey. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. Earth is attacked by an intergalactic villain and his army of robotic androids. All right, I mean, okay, sure. This is
what's wrong? What's wrong with just saying Italian Star Wars knockoff?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing essentially. This is written by Alfonso Bersara, Massimo Lo Giacomo, and Giacomo Mazzucchelli. Sure.
Well. Hold on, because the people
Giacomo.
who are
that's the word.
It's Giacomo. Yes.
I did that. I got it.
The people who are credited in the movie itself, when they're showing the title cards, their names are Edward Gentry, whose real name is Massimo Lo Giacomo, Bill Robertson, who is Giacomo Mazzucchelli, and Al Bradley, who's better known as the director of this film, Alfonso Brescia.
Good old Alfonso. Well, let me sell everybody on this here fake Star Wars because, boy, oh boy, this sucker's got everything. We got music by a cat walking on a keyboard, male pattern baldness in space, and we also got mustaches, and brother, does this movie have a variety. We got cast members dressed like Sub-Zero, cast members dressed like baked potatoes, stock footage galore, Professor Maury fawning over that guy. I love it. Eyebrows, high collars, trash can D2, eye magic, space gambling, extreme PDA, homemade Spider-Man shirt, show your pass, punch. A boxing movie breaks out. Poor man Cyberman, a poker game, then a live auction, bad skin, fright wigs, a junkyard car crushing, suicidal robots. By the way, your boy actually says robots. I love it. Moderate racism, light swords, group drug dealing, tin can spaceship, red light means hot, and a space dogfight that'll have you saying, dog, this movie's got everything.
All right, so let's get into it right away because I have over 5 pages of notes. So as the credits roll, we get special effects not seen since educational movies of Sputnik. And like you said, a soundtrack that sounds like it might have been played on the world's first electric keyboard.
A lot of wow and flutter in this entire film. It's bad.
It's really bad. And you can tell that it's somebody who's like, no, I can do it. And they got totally Peter Principle.
By the way, with this music, I don't know if you've seen this one. I forget the name of it. There's a Riff Tracks movie where these little kids go to the North Pole to see Santa and everything. It's like a Dutch movie of some sort for Netherlands kind of thing. And the music in that is the exact same music here. That boom, 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 that playful kind of crap. It is like, it is so indicative of that Swedish 70s bullcrap sound. It's so bad. At least there's a couple of songs in here that aren't just all boiling soup.
There is clearly my nephew plays keyboard quality to the soundtrack of this movie for sure.
Not great.
Now we open the way all great movies open with a profile close-up of a woman wearing an unflattering leather skull cap that we'll never see again, warning people that there's an alien vessel approaching and its weapons are technologically superior to the weapons of Earth. Everyone at the base is only mildly surprised by this, and we see the captain of this base, who I feel confident in saying is easily the gayest man in all of 1979 Italy. He decides he's going to send out a ship to force this alien craft to land. We see the bridge of this alien ship, and a guy who I am sure is in no way a Darth Vader allegory says to his crew, blow up that ship. This guy, who is in no way Darth Vader, has a long cape with a comically high collar, and his face looks like a pineapple. A pineapple wearing a gloriously long 70s style wig.
It's just like every art design choice in this movie is fantastically hilarious.
Yes.
Everything looks like it's held together with duct tape. You can see, like, you can almost pick out references when you like look at, like, this wall is clearly designed to look like Star Wars. This wall of monitors is clearly Star Trek. It's like they you could see them just specifically pulling stuff and just going, yeah, throw that up there. It's fine.
They do, and they go back and forth and back and forth. And one of the things that I know about this movie is that they made another Star Wars knockoff either before or after this movie. So they made 2 Star Wars knockoff movies back to back.
Yeah, this director, like, did several of within 1979 itself, directed a couple of space movies or whatever. So, like, they were churning them out like butter, man. They did not care over there.
So there's a lot of things that are being used in both movies. You just know. So the people on the Earth base attempt to blow up the alien ship, but just before they do, the gay captain says, we finally make first contact with an alien species, and this is how we greet them. They fire hyper lasers at the alien ship, but no dice. It doesn't work. And Darth Pineapple says, if they want to see a show of force, let's give them one. And even though the movie is in color, we then cut to several scenes of black and white newsreel footage that I think might be from World War II. We see several European-style buildings get blown up, and it looks like utter destruction from 1944.
Yeah, it's just this straight stock footage that is straight out of like Plan 9 from Outer Space, where they're just like, we ain't got enough money for this. Throw in some production value from other folks, please.
That's clearly what this is.
They're like, write some Earth into it. Yeah. We're going after Earth. That's the ticket.
We cut back to the Earth base, and we learn that the aliens are blowing up all of Earth's military bases. No one knows what to do, but Captain Gay says he might know someone who does. A real loose cannon of a scientist named Dr. Maury. Oh, he's a maverick. And the captain talks about him for what feels like maybe 25 minutes and just talking and talking and talking.
It's
and we
so gossipy.
Yes. It's not even like just facts about him. It's about like the things that like a neighbor who doesn't like you would say about you. We learn that this professor, he don't play by no rules, and he definitely don't work for no Earth government. One time, Captain Gay had to lock him up. In fact, there's really only one guy that works for the Earth government who will talk to. A guy who works at the base they call Hollywood. We meet Hollywood.
He's the least Hollywood person you've ever seen in your entire life. Whatever you imagine Hollywood looks like, he don't look like that. He looks like every other schmuck in this movie.
Yes. And he has this really well-defined, greasy-looking mustache. It's disgusting.
Oh, with the little swoops.
With the swoops. And every time the actor stands, the actor makes a choice that he's going to place his fists on his hips like he's Superman from the old 50s TV show. It happens every single time. We then cut to the second scene in this movie, and keep in mind, we are 8 minutes and 2 seconds into the story at this point. We're only cutting to the second scene now. Next scene starts the way all great movies do, with an extreme close-up of an elderly bald man who immediately knows why the alien ship isn't being destroyed by Earth's lasers, an element known as Etherium. We only have like a kilo of it on Earth, but somehow these aliens have an entire ship made out of it.
It's kind of like the kind of like Spice and Dune, I guess. It does that. Spice does everything. Spice is a drug. Spice fuels stuff. It does all the things. It also waxes your car.
There's a lot of that going on in this movie, though, of like, don't worry about it too much. There's a lot of that going on.
We got swords. Shut up.
We meet the professor's niece, who has the unflattering hairstyle of a woman who looks like she went through a messy divorce in the 70s. And if we thought the Earth-based set looked cheap, the makers of this movie said, "Hold my vino," because this set looks like it might have been filmed in the director's apartment. I'm not kidding about this. It really might have been.
There are moments where you're just like, oh, you had access to this. Any main set piece that is, when we'll get to them, they're clearly just called, we had access to that. We're writing it into the story, by gum.
Mm-hmm. We then meet Professor Maury's robot named Jeeves, and it looks like a Dalek and a Gonk droid had a trash can baby. And like a miracle bestowed upon us from our Lord and Savior, this robot doesn't speak.
So sad. But he's got blinking lights, as is the case with everything in this. This is how this movie shows you that it is technologically advanced, is lights be blinking all the time, everywhere.
They do. They do be blinking.
If it's on a screen, it's blinking. If it's on some little button over here, it's blinking. It's blinking everywhere, because that's what they believe is technology, blinking lights.
That's right. Then Hollywood shows up at the professor's place, grossing the place up with his terrible mustache. Hollywood asks the professor if he'll help save the Earth. And in a scene that had to be made intentionally funny, I stand by this. It had to be funny on purpose. Maury says, "I'll help, but under my conditions." Cut to Captain Gay saying immediately, "No conditions, Maury." The only thing missing from this scene is the whoop sound. We learn that the professor knows these guys who can invent something that can beat Ethereum. Only problem is they're in prison. Hollywood's going to have to break them out with the help of a guy who's really good at, as Professor Maury calls him, he's really good at opening doors.
Let me get you. Hold on one sec. Really get you, because the mic's going a little away on me here.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I think we're okay. Just choke up on a little bit harder there for me.
I am testing my microphone.
There we go. That's a little better.
Okay. At first, Hollywood refuses, but Professor Maury uses some sort of ill-defined wizard power to convince Hollywood to do it. We then cut to a space casino where we see a guy wearing leather pants making kissy eyes at a hot lady who's losing at gambling. So this dude in leather pants cheats by using his ill-defined wizard powers to rig the game. And then he makes the hot lady win. And when she does, they totally make out. And just when you think things are going to start getting good, some goon in a red jumpsuit comes out and croc blocks him. And he says, "Hey, aren't you Dirk Laramie, the guy who can see through cards?" And then the palooka in the red jumpsuit and two other goofballs get into a brawl with Dirk right there in the space casino. This would be exciting if it weren't one of the poorest shot movie fights of all time. There's people doing flips. We got people punching. We got tables turning over. And we see Professor Maury's niece with the bad hairdo looking on, and she's impressed at what she's seeing and maybe a little turned on. I guess we'll find out later.
A lot of punching and jumping. So much jumping in this movie that, like, the one guy specifically, there's one guy who, like, clearly enjoys his jumping and and will take any opportunity to just, like, kind of slightly stand outside of frame and then, jump into frame and everything. It's really great.
Yeah, the boxer who we'll meet later. The fight continues. But because it's so poorly directed, I can't tell who's winning. And then the lights go out, and we cut to later, where Dirk is buried under a mountain of seat cushions for some reason. And I think we're supposed to understand that Dirk has lost the fight
That's what I got.
And,
Like it was a big giant melee, and he just got whooped, but somehow ended up in a couch fort.
right. He is in a couch fort. And he's awakened by Professor Maury's niece, who from this point forward, I'm going to call Maud, because she looks like B. Arthur's younger, slightly, and I mean slightly more attractive sister. She gets him to help, but not before Derrick attempts to make the moves on her, but it doesn't work. This is also the moment when I realized that not only is Derrick wearing leather pants, but he's also wearing a bedazzled spider shirt that I could totally rock out if I start doing sit-ups again. We then cut to Darth Pineapple's ship, and we learn that he's collecting and mind-controlling black guys to, let's be charitable and say, use in his army without their permission.
Yeah,
Let's put it that way.
Well, I don't know. They often do go into it, just be like, yeah, we're making slaves. We're getting slaves up in here. You're like, what? Okay.
Yes. And the optics are as bad as they seem.
Yeah. There's enough in there where, like, at first you're just going like, oh, is this what we're doing? Then you get, oh no, it's what we're doing kind of a lot, huh? Okay, great. Interesting.
And if you are someone of African American descent and you haven't shut off the movie at this point, you probably should anyway, because it doesn't get better from here.
Yeah, anybody at this point, you should probably ask yourself some questions about you and your life.
Yes. Hollywood and Derrick meet for the first time when we learn that Hollywood has won a medal for galactic bravery. And he shows it off. It's pinned to his shirt. But actually, it's a sheriff star that looks like a child's toy you'd find in a grocery store next to the greeting cards.
I love how pudgy he is in that costume and everything too. He's trying to pull off some Han Solo vibes, but it just doesn't happen. It doesn't work for him or anything. He's just like, you're just a little old, out of shape Italian man. Come on now.
Yeah. Derrick uses his ill-defined wizard powers to make Hollywood steal a ship for him so that they can go to the moon prison. I says moon prison, which would have been a way better name for this movie than Star Odyssey. But what do I?
Yeah.
We cut to the moon prison that isn't actually on.
Okay, I think there's definitely a USB problem going on here because you're going up and down like madman here. Check your connection.
So we cut to the moon base, which isn't or the moon prison, which isn't actually on the moon, and we see the second cheapest set on this movie, which is just people standing in alcoves as jail staff walks by them, and the jail staff stops at a lady prisoner, and one of the jailers says, "Hey, she's good looking," and they move on. This means that there's no way that this will come up later.
No.
We then cut to, I'm not making this up, a man versus robot boxing match. And what is easily the best scene in the movie, where we learn that the robot who is fighting in the ring has killed over 12 different human boxers. But the human he's currently up against seems pretty crafty. And a guy in the crowd yells out, "Tear off his differential." And I smiled quietly to myself. Cut to a scene where we see Derrick cheating at gambling again, using his ill-defined wizard powers, and he sees the lady that he helped cheat at gambling earlier. Where are they? I thought Derrick and Hollywood stole a spaceship and were headed to the moon prison. It doesn't matter. We then cut to a scene where Captain Gay is telling Hollywood that they need to find out what the alien space vessel is made of. I thought Hollywood was on a stolen spaceship with Derrick heading to the moon prison. I also thought we already knew what the alien space vessel was made out of. We found out in the second scene of this movie, it's made of Ethereum. It doesn't matter. We then come to a space auction where we see all kinds of crazy aliens. So crazy, like a lady wearing a purple wig. And there's another guy wearing a mask someone presumably stole from a costume shop.
They all have slightly weird, different kind of makeup, so it's not really their skin tone, and you're like, maybe that's something. I don't know.
Maybe. It's not good.
No.
Our auction is a planet that is uninhabitable and has destroyed a moon, but it has valuable minerals. They auction off 2 more planets, and when I'm about to lose my mind because I have no idea why we're at this auction, we see that Darth Pineapple is there, and he wants to buy Sol 3, which is better known as Earth. He tells a guy standing next to him that there's millions of slaves on the planet, and he can't wait to win the auction. Guy standing next to him tells him he'll pay 1,000 space credits for each slave. And that's when I realized that everything we've just seen is a flashback, but there's nothing about these scenes to let you know what you're watching. You have to use context clues provided to make your own conclusions. That's why Darth Pineapple is invading Earth. He wants to make us all slaves. But in 1979, I was a toddler. That wouldn't have been cool, bro.
I like the idea that like if we get slaves, they're even just toddler slaves. We got we'll put them in little leg irons and everything, and have them walk around just like little toddlers. That'd be great. They do the light work. Come on.
Their little hands can clean the bullets.
Hey, isn't that what they did for Snowpiercer? With like the kids were so tiny they could get under the train and fix all the linkage and stuff.
Only the kids. That's why they kept the kids around.
Yep.
We then cut to the moon prison. No, hold on a second. Darth Pineapple buys Earth for 100 million credits, which makes another guy at the auction mad. And Darth Pineapple uses his ill-defined wizard powers to knock him out right there at the auction. And no one cares at all. And we know he's not dead because we hear someone in voiceover say, "Stop it, you'll kill him."
How do you gotta feel though, being the other planet that like went just before Earth that didn't get any bids? Because they were like, "Hey, here, going once, going twice. What do you got for 50 cents? 2 bits? Who wants to buy this?" And then they're just like, "Well, nobody. All right, moving on to lot 3. Here comes Earth."
There was nobody there. There was nobody on the planet. There's no one to offend.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, though, fast forward to the end of the movie, they're like, "We're going to get our own planet," which I still believe is like the only thing a white person would ever say. We're getting our own planet. Like, you would need your own planet, Janet. Jeez Louise.
We then cut to the moon prison where one of the guards can't stop peeping on that hot lady in the prison cell. He decides he's going to unfreeze her so he can make smacky face with her. And when he does, she's totally into it. Best idea ever, the prison guard thinks. Only what's this? The whole thing was a ruse. She lets out another guy from his prison cell who lets out all the prisoners. You know what, guys? I don't think that hot lady was into that prison guard at all. The prison riot starts up. And you've never seen so many judo chops in your entire life in one scene. Prisoners chopping guards, guards chopping prisoners. It's a real melee. When they cut we cut to the prison warden's office, and Derrick and Hollywood are there. And the warden loses his damn mind every time he touches this small glass statue on his desk. But I can't tell. Does it hurt him? Is he going number 3 in his pants? I have no idea. But Derrick takes the object away and starts using his ill-defined wizard powers on the warden. And just before we can find out what he's about to ask him, we then cut to man versus robot fight.
Yeah, if you can't come up with any kind of plot, just cut back to this boxing ring that we have rented and fight this like the cheapest looking Cyberman ripoff you've ever seen in your life, fighting in a ring, and these people are cheering like it's Tyson Holyfield.
When I say robot in the boxing ring, what I really mean is a morbidly obese man with a helmet on his head that sort of looks like a robot, and he's all silver, and you can literally see that the man is wearing shorts.
Yeah, the 1962 Cybermen's were like way better quality than this was.
Really? So man versus robot fight. Man is doing flips, punching the robot like crazy, but isn't having any effect. The announcer even says, "How much more can this guy take?" When all of a sudden, this boxer, the dude, knocks down the referee and pushes the robot over the fallen ref, making the robot fall over where he can't get back up. Human has defeated the robot. And when the robot's on the ground, you can see the guy inside the robot. Like you can see his eyes, his actual human eyes through the robot eyes, completely ruining this amazing special effect.
I like how the referee also looks like he's wearing an alternate version of Mork from Ork's outfit.
Oh, that's funny because you know what this movie really reminds me of? Most of the costuming looks like Logan's Run to me.
Yeah, little Logan's Run, and of course with all the collars, you definitely have some of the Flash Gordon kind of stuff in there as well.
Yeah.
Ton of that going on. A little Ming stuff for sure, to be sure, in this movie.
Yes. So we come back to the moon prison. Man, for a movie with a robot fighting a human in a moon prison, this movie is not nearly as awesome as it should be. But we come back to the moon prison where Hot Lady and her friend are being released into the custody of Derrick and Hollywood. Cut back to the man versus robot boxing, where we find out that Mom this guy, and she won a bunch of money. Her uncle has always called this boxer the best fighter in the galaxy. She recruits him. Of course, the boxer, who has a comb over and real bad male pattern baldness, has some friends who he also wants to bring along. So they go to a junkyard together, where we watch the boxer take 15 minutes putting two robots together in a junkyard. And when he switches them on, I've got some bad news, everyone, because these robots talk.
Oh, boy, do they ever.
They never shut up, and they're in love. And they never, ever stop talking, ever. And we learned that they had a suicide pact.
This is the weirdest part.
It is so strict. And the boy robot is pissed that the boxer turned them back on. So what do these two robots bring to the table? They can phase through objects, kind of like Kitty Pryde, but really, really annoying. The team is finally assembled, and they all stand around as the professor makes with the yakety yak. And the two people who escaped from moon prison, we find out, are named Bridget and Sean. And the professor gets the Antherium because they'll need it in order to make something that can defeat this Antherium. The outfit Bridget is wearing makes me say only Italians would think black leather dominatrix gear is the outfit of a scientist lady. Pineapple can sense there's a human who has ill-defined wizard powers just like he does, and Professor Mori can sense Darth Pineapple as well. We watch the team screw around for a while as Darth Pineapple's army advances on Professor Mori's compound, and they brainwash Maud. Darth Pineapple's army tries to take the others as well, but male pattern boxer steals one of the bad guys' laser swords, and he kills 8 of them. The filmmakers try to make a big deal out of this laser sword, but it's lame when compared to a movie that may or may not have come out in 1977. But while male pattern baldness is laser sorting Darth Pineapple's army, he realized, hey, this army is just robots. Robots who all wear white beater wigs for some reason.
Yeah.
Our team take pills to make it seem like they're all dead to the beetle bewigged robots, and they escape. Professor Mori and Darth Pineapple get into a mind fight, and Professor Mori wins, but barely, keeping Darth Pineapple and his army grounded on Earth. I don't know why this is helpful. This makes Darth Pineapple call his dad, I think. Is that his dad?
I'm not sure. Listen, there are. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, everybody. This movie does not pass the phone test in any way, shape, or form.
It really does.
And the fact that the quality that you've got to begin with is like looking through terry cloth. It gets tough to even realize what the hell's going on the screen half the time because it's like you're looking through muddy water.
So, Adam, guess how many times I watched this movie?
Ooh, if it's more than once, you've done some harm.
Then I've done some harm.
Mm.
I've seen this movie 3 times this week.
Oh my word! And you're still here, huh?
And I'm still here.
Listen, everybody, there are a lot of problems in this world right now, but if Sean can watch this 3 times in 1 week and still live to hear about it, I think that you too can overcome any of the problems that you might have in your life, be they whatever they may.
Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome.
So back to Darth Pineapple's maybe dad.
Sure.
He looks just like Darth Pineapple, except instead of long, luxurious 70s hair, he's bald. And this guy tells Darth Pineapple tells this guy that they could have slaves with this kind of power, this ill-defined wizard power. They could take out the competition, whatever any of that means. Meanwhile, Bridget has figured out a new element that will take out Ethereum, and Sean immediately starts taking credit for it, even though he did nothing, by saying things like, "Can't believe it, we did it." It's pretty great. But before the real celebration can happen, the new element explodes. Turns out it's like my ex-wife, because it's completely unstable.
Hey.
What? Hello. Everyone is sad about this, but then the 2 annoying robots get a hold of the new element, argue for what feels like 10 minutes, and fix the problem.
So the robots let the team know that Professor Mori has been taken, which I didn't remember happening. But if you can't trust the word of a really annoying robot, who can you trust? We only have 20 minutes of this movie left when Derrick and the annoying robots follow Darth Pineapple's army back to their spaceship, which looks suspiciously like the back of a U-Haul truck. And they free Maud from mind control.
The spaceship looks like nothing inside. Anytime they go into the spaceship, it's clearly all just rooms in some place. Nothing is designed like anything that you would imagine it to be. You're like, oh, we're on a spaceship now? This is what the inside of that spaceship looks like. It makes a TARDIS look gigantic inside, because it's that same kind of idea. You walk in there, you're like, where are all these hallways? How is that in this like little weird ass thing that's on the ground here? No.
Well, the people who made the original Doctor Who series figured out, oh, you know what? If we just keep everything like a black backdrop, it'll look better than whatever crap we could come up with, because we have no money.
Yeah.
And the Italians don't think that way. The Italians think, oh, you know what? We can make a hallway and we can put wallpaper on it to make it seem futuristic.
Yeah, it's like it's got a pattern on it. Isn't that kind of like, ooh, you don't know what kind of pattern that is. It's not Paisley.
A space pattern. Our team enters the ship and the world's worst lightsaber fight starts. It's sort of like the hallway fight in the raid, except everyone is slow and have never had a sword in their hands before, obviously. And people keep making noises like ooh and ah as they're fighting. The good guys win, and Darth Pineapple says the line, "You fools! I'll teach you to rebel against your new master. You will all die in atrocious agony." And with his ill-defined wizard powers, he starts turning up the heat in his own ship. The team needs to escape before they get burned alive. Everyone gets out except Maud is trapped inside, and it's up to Derrick to get her out. So Derrick uses his own ill-defined wizard powers to reach out and communicate with her. If they combine their mental abilities, which is something we've never seen Maud do before in this entire movie, maybe they can get the door open. They do so, and surprising literally no one, the door opens and they escape. Darth Pineapple's ship takes off for space, but the Earth's defenses send a bunch of spaceships after him. But wouldn't you know it, Darth Pineapple's dad has showed up and brought a fleet of ships with him. We get some pretty cool model work here, and we're gearing up for what I'm sure is a legendary space battle. But you know what?
All of the like little quote unquote interiors of the spaceships that everyone is flying in this kind of dogfight and everything are clearly just like, you want to talk about black background. That was one where they were just like, okay, get the camera close to his face. We're going to make the background, put a couple lights in there, because that's how we do that's how we do tech. Throw some lights in there, put it out of focus, and then boom, you're in a cockpit now.
Also start wailing on that keyboard.
Yeah.
That helps too. Now, you guys remember earlier when I said that there was going to be a legendary space battle? It turns out I was wrong. It's not legendary. Immediately at the start of the battle, Captain Gay gets blown up, and the other pilots say lines exactly like this. They sound exactly like this. They're just too fast for us. The anti-Ethereum isn't working. Now, Professor Maury has an idea.
They're selling it too hard. They're selling it too hard in this show. That's their problem, is that they just believe in it too much.
Look, I know it's not the people who made this movie's fault. I know it's the people who do the dubbing's fault, but like, come on, guys. Let's pretend to care. It's not that we care. It's that it seems like we care.
Yeah, as long as we feel like you care. You don't have to actually care. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. Professor Maury has an idea. He can use his ill-defined wizard powers to slow down the bad guys' engines, putting the Earth fleet on equal footing, and by George, it works. Everyone survives the firefight, except Hollywood, who dies heroically, and Derrick and Maude commemorate his sacrifice by doing the stuff, as Adam Porter so eloquently put it nearly 10 years ago. We cut back to the final scene of the movie, and like all great movies, the final scene takes place at an auction where Bridget and Sean and Darth Pineapple sell Earth to a different bidder, which is totally confusing. Are they selling out Earth to make money? Are they attempting to swindle this new bidder? No one knows, but the credits roll, leaving the door open for what I'm sure were to be many, many sequels in this universe, and the credits roll. The end.
It is it's something else. I will say I give them credit for it being 1979, right? And kind of trying to do their best to rip off lightsabers in their best way. It feels like they've got kind of the idea of what they did over there before they, kind of rotoscoped in the actual colors for all the blades and stuff. Because if you see some of the behind the scenes, original stuff on New Hope and everything, each of the lightsabers has this reflective material that once, filmed and everything really shines bright back at you and whatnot. So it feels like they had that there, but didn't also have the extra wherewithal to, make a color out of that, because that's a lot of work. Tracing that through all the things. And if you've got all those swords in there, you couldn't imagine the headache that would be for an Italian crew in 1979. No sirree, Bob.
Oh my God, man. It must have taken them forever, because there's a lot, like, look, like the lightsaber fights in this movie are terrible, but they try to make up for that with the amount of lightsabers.
They got a lot of them. Yeah.
They have a ton of them.
We'd have to wait till episode 2 before all that happened in our worlds and stuff, but there must be like, 20, 30 of them on the screen at the same time. And they're just like, look, it looks cool. What's better than 2 lightsabers? How about 30?
Yeah.
All right, before we get to our final review, we have to ask ourselves how this Space Italiano relates back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone.
Why, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement, but be it a short one.
Why? You didn't have time to... All right, fine.
Hello, Mr. Stallone. I did it to myself. I'm the one who picked this movie. Turns out no one who worked on this has ever worked with you. The guy who plays Hollywood is in the movie The English Patient. And the actress who plays Bridget is in The Way of the Dragon for some reason. But that's as close as we get. However, this movie was shot in Italy, and you love Italy. In fact, in 2022, you were seen in Rome, and you got bum rushed by fans as you were enjoying an evening with a lady who, let's be honest, was born the year you were shooting Rocky IV. And that's your Stallone connection this week, the country of Italy. I hope to hear from you soon. Your pal, Sweet Shanti from the internet.
Hey, they call him the Italian Stallion for a reason, people. Put it together.
It's true.
I mean, if you couldn't have seen this one coming from a mile and a half away, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, the lady in this picture, if she is 40 years old, she is very old.
Yes.
And standing next to her is Sylvester Stallone, who weirdly, I don't know how this is possible, looks pretty good for his age. He's 70 years old, and with all that crazy plastic surgery he had in the 80s, he still looks okay. But it looks very weird. It looks like Grandpa's taking out his oldest daughter or his oldest granddaughter. That's literally what it looks like.
We'll take it to the ice cream social, and then we'll be back at home before 4.
That's right.
It's okay, Stallone. We'll let you pass this time. Well, all right, let's get down to it. Here at HMP, we have our own patented Robin rating system. Have you ever heard of all the Robins that Batman used to go with? Yeah, there's been a whole bunch of them, and we rate our movies on those systems. That's right. We're weird. I'm going to go first here since you kind of brought us through all this, and it's your fault.
It really is.
Space Odyssey is... Here's the thing. A lot of times we will talk on this show about like, oh, this is a movie, it's bad or whatever, but there's something about it that's at least enough redeeming. You have a good enough time. There's enough laughs to go around to where you're like, I could recommend this to people for having a stupid time with this. I can't do that with this one. This is not even a stupid time. It is stupid, but it's also something that you could at least have on in the background at best. You're not going to need to worry about following the story or anything because you just won't care. You won't care about any of the characters, and you're going to be going, this is an hour and a half? How? Yeah, Jason Todd for me. I can't recommend it. I can't recommend anybody, spend nearly 2 hours on this unless you just kind of watch a junk. I will say, though, like you said, Pineapple Face Guy had a very Mr. Boogedy vibe to him, which I kind of dug.
He does.
But outside of that, can't recommend. You?
Yeah, I mean, if you're somebody who likes seeing terrible special effects, because there are people like that, I could see you kind of fast forwarding to those parts watching this movie. But this is not good. I know I brought up a message from space earlier, and this is not that. And not only that, but like as a Star Wars knockoff, it's not very Star Warsy either. It's, I mean, like if on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, this is maybe a 2 on the Star Wars scale. Like, yeah, there's robots in it. You've got like the Force in it. It's all over the place. The problem is everyone has it.
Yeah.
And like, it's not like it's not fun. This movie isn't fun. So for me, it is a Dick Grayson.
But if you want,
sorry, it's a Jason Todd.
Oof, I wish you could have seen my eyes grow at that point. I was like, I'm sorry, what now? We took a left turn here all of a sudden.
No, this movie's a Jason Todd.
Yeah, that is it, everybody. We got the first week of Shawnee Loves Spaceships down. Audio will be better next week. I promise. We've had some.
I promise you that. Yeah,
we've had some hiccups here, but we got through it. We figured something out here at the end. But thanks for hanging out with us. We'll talk about next week in just a minute. But I also, before we get into, I do want to say. Patreon.com/HMP. Like you guys voted for Shawnee loves space or like spaceships. Let's do it right. So we want you guys also to vote on what we're going to be watching for next month. We're going to start those out now and kind of update you as the weeks go on. Please make your case for what you vote for in the comments over there, patreon.com/HMP. Of course, next month is going to be October, so we're going into the spooky season. So we're going through all kind of spooky movies here. Here are your options. We're bringing back Once Bitten, Twice Shy. That's our werewolves movies. We have Ghosts of Halloween Past. It's going to be all ghost-type movies. The Occult. You can put 2 and 2 together, I would hope. Slash Mataz. That's a slasher flicks. We have Monster Mashup or Children's Halloween. We just spoke of Mr. Boogedy earlier. So, things of that nature. Your Your horror for
title
small
for
children.
that one. A good title for that one is Fun-Sized Halloween.
Okay, fun size Halloween. So we got those up. Those will be there at patreon.com/HMP. And we'll update you as the weeks go on there. And of course, like I said, make your case in the comments. Sway people in your particular direction. Sean, what do we got for Sean likes spaceships next week?
Yeah, Brian would be mad. Brian would be really mad.
Yeah, let's get it right.
It's Sean likes spaceships.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian. Okay.
So now we have
next week. Sorry.
We have what is it again?
Next week is a Korean space movie from 2021, I believe. It is called Space Sweepers. It's on Netflix. I've seen it before. It is vastly, vastly different from the movie we saw this week.
Well, it wouldn't take much. I will say this, though, at least within the time that it was, made in what'd you say, 2021? At least here it's going to be bare minimum 480p. So we'll be able to actually see what's going on the screen, one would hope. So that is available on Netflix now, and we'll be checking that out next week, everybody. That is it. Join us next week for Space Sweepers. That's tough to say. From 2021, available on Netflix for Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet, the absent Bruce Leslie. I'm Adam Portress. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.